Well, the Museum of Florida History has a special exhibit going on right now. It started November 16th and it goes through June 23rd at the museum in downtown, right down in the political section there of Tallahassee. The exhibit showcases Florida's surfing history. It's called Surfs Up Florida and features more than 30 vintage and modern surfboards, including boards once used by world champion Kelly Slater of Cocoa Beach. So Ken Crawford and Tim Valley and I went up to Tallahassee and met up with Gina Brunson, who was the director of the State Museum and now is director of all the museums in Florida. And we walked through an amazing exhibit that took me back to my boyhood surfing the Atlantic waters off Cocoa Beach. Surfboards from famous surfers that I knew, like Gary Proper and Mike Tabling, were there, as well as the Kelly Slaters and the modern era surfers of today. The longboard masters were celebrated in this exhibit, and there was even a replica of a real surfboard shop with the shaper's room, the fiberglass and everything. Special features of this exhibit. I even found photos of a couple boyhood friends of mine from Rockledge, Florida, just kids with their boards getting ready for an afternoon of surfing the small waves. We didn't worry about sharks until Jaws. We drove our cars to high school with our boards strapped on top, and as soon as the last bell freed us, we roared out the causeway to the beach, right up next to the Canaveral Pier. Fishermen on one side, surfers on the other. It's a great memory, and it's just a purely Florida memory. Thanks to Florida Director of Museums, Gina Brunson, for her hospitality in letting the Florida Folk Show podcast hang out at the State Museum. And if you get a chance, try to get there before June 23rd. Thank you. Welcome to the Florida State Museum's brand new exhibit on surfing. Now we're going to give you a quick little tour here. I've got my friend Ken Crawford, a surfer from the Stewart area, and he's going to talk with us and tell us what's going on. Here's another rare picture right here of people holding on to a rope to prevent from getting swept away by the tide. And that's a very historic picture from it's circa 1900 to 1910.
That's a little background about the history of surfing in the state. And certainly everybody thinks of surfing as a Hawaii or a California original concept. But there are people who say that once tourism started, they certainly flocked to Florida, and they were already bathing. They were already swimming in all kinds of surf conditions here in the Sunshine State.
Basically, Daytona Beach was the first place in Florida that was reported having surfers. Although surely the Seminoles and prehistoric people probably did, just as they did in Hawaii. That's Dudley Whitman, which is Florida's first great surfer, I believe. Pat Barbour's got a song about him called Hollowboard Man.
That's a false sport.
Yeah. Look at that. This is a hollow board from the circa 1950s. In fact, there's a patent for, what's this? Hollow board patent by Tom Blake, 1932. Patent number 1,872,230. This is Neptune Beach in this picture. Here's the evolution of surfing from the early 1900s to the present.
It was all about the shape, and it still is. And the tail. Short tail, long tail, pin tail, round tail.
Back here, Jim, is a surfboard made by Claude Codger, a guy that I knew when I was growing up in Cocoa Beach. And Con surfboards. It was a Con surfboard. Claude Codger.
And this is, of course, in the 70s. You had a lot of psychedelic art on your surfboards. And it was all part of the scene.
Here's a Quiet Flight board. That's one of the premier first branded surfboards, professional, out of it was made in Cocoa Beach. Quiet Flight, yeah. A lot of famous surfers were also surfboard makers. 1966, that was my life back then. Everybody had racks on their car, surf racks, even if they didn't surf, right, Ken?
Right. And they were rusty.
Yep. And it was not unusual for them to break and the surfboard goes sliding off. Our version of the big snow on top of your car, when you start moving, it crashes onto the car behind it. Ours was surfboards. Dania Beach, you can see back here on the power plant. It's still there to this day in that part of Fort Lauderdale.
That's a great mural. Looks like an offshore wind day to me. Tubing.
Here's Rockledge, right here. There's Doug Moore, I believe I know him. Back then, 1966.
Yeah, you're from Rockledge.
We kept our surfboards inside the fence because, again, now the way people steal bikes now, people used to steal surfboards back then. The New Smyrna Surfari Club, the Greenback Surf Club. Now this picture here is our current picture, I think. This is Virginia Beach Key. That's off of Miami. You notice a lot of black surfers on the beach, and also on American Beach. Back in the days of when the Jim Crow laws were passed and segregation, this was the beach where blacks were allowed to go. But the American Beach was founded in 1935. Surf shop started in the early 60s. Ron Domena opened this Ron John Surf Shop in New Jersey in 1959, and then came to Florida in 63 and opened up the one in Cocoa Beach, which is still there today, but is a great deal bigger than what it used to be, Oh boy, this is the board I have right here, an O'Hare.
You had an O'Hare?
Yeah, I had an O'Hare.
I had a Jim
made
Overland.
in, sold at Ron John. You could ride that at Ron John.
Well, I was in Stewart.
O'Hare, yeah.
I was in Stewart, so I had a Jim Overland made in Fort Pierce. When we had longboards, we didn't have leashes. When you did more hot dog stuff, you needed a leash, pull the board.
This is Canaveral Pier. It's now known today as Cocoa Beach Pier, and it is the shark fishing capital of Florida, I believe, at the very end of the pier. But the surfers always were surfing on one side, and the fishermen were fishing on the other side. And there's always a war if you try to take your board on the side where the fishermen were. Fishermen and surfing wars were very common in those days, and they resorted to violence every so often. But that's the famous Cocoa Beach Canaveral Pier.
Plus, one of the fun tricks of the regulars out on the pier, the fishermen, was throw out a lot of bloody meat, and then it would attract sharks. So we'd be out there surfing, and there'd be sharks around, and it was less comfortable.
But we never worried about just having our legs in the water, waiting 20 minutes for a wave.
That's right.
Once Jaws came out, it changed the whole idea of the surfing, for me anyway.
These are the classic longboards here. This is some real pedigree here.
This is typical of what a shaping shop look like inside, usually in the back of the surf shop. And we had usually they had an exhaust. I don't see anything here, but you know, an exhaust pipe, like almost like a vacuum cleaner to just clear the air of the dust caused by sanding the boards. And often the shaper would wear a mask from the fumes of the fiberglass. I don't think there are very many of these shape shops made left on the east coast of Florida. I know there's one in the Atlantic. But in the day, there used to be every surf shop had its own shape area.
Look at this, Pete. Recognize that name?
Big Tree.
Big Tree.
Big Tree, I believe, is from Melbourne Beach, in Melbourne, Florida. Surf contests began in the 60s, and there was even a surf team sponsored by Big Tree. It included Gary Cropper, Mike Tabling, and Mimi Monroe. Mike Tabling, he had his own little surf shop on the Causeway going out to Cocoa Beach, and Gary Cropper for many years was a world champion. Here's the Dick Patree's Hobie surf team. Gary Cropper, Skinny English, Sunday Paganopoulos, Mike Tabling, Dick Tree, Mimi Monroe, Joey Twombly, David Shea, an unknown person, Sam Gornto, and David Judson. How about that? Wow. Mid-60s. Yep.
And you know, Pete, that Cocoa was the kind of epicenter of the earliest contests, surf contests sponsored by the fledgling East Coast Surfing Association.
Surf movies were really popular. They had local bars and clubs, Cocoa Beach, all up and down that middle East Coast of Florida. You go in there, or you go into a place and they'd be on a loop on the TVs over and over and over again.
You know, this was known back then because of its oval shape, and still is, although they're a lot shorter now. The so-called egg shape, or so-called East Coast shape. That's what these ovals are. And the reason is because the pitch of the waves on the East Coast is quite different than the West Coast, where you need the front of the surfboard has a point on it called a gun. And although we can get some people make a lot of fun in Florida, but we can get some very large waves in the wintertime. On some years, I guess.
And also during hurricane season. Now today, the modern competitors on their small boards. Kelly Slater is the new Gary Cropper, best surfer, so to speak.
You know what I met Gary Cropper once. I saw him in the old days a couple times, kind of at a distance, because I was too young and scared to go up and talk to Gary Cropper. But you know what? I saw him once also in Virginia Beach for an East Coast surfing contest I happened to see. But later in life, he joined Phantasma Productions, which is a music production company in West Palm Beach. And he did all these band shows, custom bands, and he was doing, so he had a whole second career at Phantasma Productions with his name was everywhere. He was great at marketing, Gary Cropper.
Is that magazine still out?
Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah.
You had to wait for it every month, remember?
Yeah.
Couldn't wait to read it. There's also surfing. There's Coke and then there's Pepsi. Surfer surfing. Makes you want to get back in the water, don't it, Pete?
Yeah. In fact, this board here that the Governor Kelly Slater signed is what they call an environmental surfboard, environmentally friendly, because it's made of biofoam, which consists of about 50% soybeans, and was built by Tom Nielsen of Indian Harbor Beach in 2007. So there you have it, folks. You've got the fantastic surfing historical exhibit here at the Florida State Museum, Tallahassee. It'll be here until June 23rd. Don't miss it. Especially all you people who live in Cocoa Beach and all these names of all these towns that I've been mentioning. You should get down there and look. A lot of these photos don't really have IDs on them. You might find yourself